Hi there. I'm going to do a review for Jurassic Park 3. This movie came out in 2001 and is the second sequel to Jurassic Park. This movie is a little bit different than the other two. The other two, it took them a little bit, themselves a little bit more seriously. This one, not quite as much. I tend to view it as a bit as a satirical take on Jurassic Park. It's got Sam Neill in there as Alan Grant. Directed by Joe Johnston. Michael Crichton was one of the writers, but they do have a few unlike the Lost World, which featured predominantly Jeff Goldblum. This one's got a different cast of characters in it. Basically, Sam Neill comes back. Laura Dern came back for a bit. But then they got a whole bunch of new characters: William H. Macy, Tia Leone, a whole bunch. They also got a kid, Trevor Morgan, and was it Alexandro Nivola, Michael Teeter. They got a bunch of people. More or less, the movie is about how somebody's kid, I guess the couple's kid, was it the Kirbys, Paul and Amanda Kirby, played by Tia Leone and William H. Macy, are their kid is on must be a vacation of sorts, must be doing a parasailing trip, and it's around Isla Sorna, which is the island where all the dinosaurs are. They must be trying to get a look into the island. And of course, there's an accident on the boat below them. Not entirely clear what attacked it, although common theory is it is one of the predators, obviously. More or less, they get trapped. These two get trapped on the island, and what happens next is more or less, the Kirbys are trying to get a hold of people to come and be advisors to them to go to this island. They know nothing about dinosaurs, and of course, this island's full of dinosaurs. So they enlist the trustee of Dr. Alan Grant and Billy Brennan, or both paleontologists. Plus, they're hiring a couple other people because they supposedly have military experience. I don't know what I would consider to be military experience on this one, but yeah, it's quite the movie. It's a lot. It's kind of like a funny movie. It's like a satire, like a comedy almost. Doesn't take itself very seriously. Pretty straightforward. Doesn't really worry too much about accuracy and stuff like that. This is a pretty straightforward dinosaur movie, monster movie. More or less, they get Dr. Alan Grant on a flight to go to Sorna, and he thinks this is just going to be, a flyover. They wanted him as on the expedition. They're going to pay him a bit of money, and they take him along because they supposedly want him as an advisor. Didn't go so well, and they get to the island. Of course, they're actually looking for their son, and that's the joke, is that they talk about looking for a place to land. Basically, Alan's like, well, you can't land here. They get on the ground, and of course, an accident ensues because for some reason, one of the predators is close by, and it turns out the military training that was supposedly so heavy duty with these guys is apparently fairly lacking. Nonetheless, they all get trapped on the island. Of course, two of the guys get killed almost immediately, and another guy dies shortly after. More or less, it's a monster movie. It's a satire. It's not really trying to take itself very seriously at all. In fact, it's kind of straightforward silliness banter. But nonetheless, it works well enough for itself and for everybody involved. More or less, it's about how the dinosaurs. There's actually a new predator here. Eventually, they figure out there's a Spinosaurus aegyptigus on the island. Apparently, this was not brought up in the Lost World, but this to me is just a satire. To me, this is just a straightforward satirical take on Jurassic Park. The director of the movie, the producers of the movie, wanted to not bring back T-Rex again, so they have T-Rex get killed off early by the Spinosaurus, and ensues the fate. More or less, it's not too bad of a movie. It's certainly not as good as the other two. but it's having fun with itself. It knows how it's having fun. CGI wise, it's kind of interesting. The visual effects are kind of wonky because unlike the first two movies, which spent a bit of time, but the CGI on those movies was not quite as advanced. And so, of course, you get this. The dinosaurs don't are just not as good as they could be, and so you're getting these wildly. You get these dinosaurs who are fairly. They both look better and worse than the previous models. It's kind of hard to talk about it because yeah, they don't exude any kind of the look of the previous two movies. More or less, the dinosaurs look better and worse. Nonetheless, Alan Grant, when they're trying to escape the Spinosaurus, they they end up going on a whole bunch of different paths. Kirby's end up in one area, Alan Grant ends up in another. Alan Grant ends up finding the sun, and of course they'll end up having to find the laboratory where the dinosaurs were all made and stuff because they're trying to get a signal. Basically, they're just running around the island because they're trying to find the dock or some sort of radio communication center to get word back that they are stranded on this island. And of course, when one of the characters gets eaten, he's of course wearing the satellite phone. So the satellite phone ends up going off every once in a while because, of course, the Spinosaurus ate the guy, and the cell phone's in the Spinosaurus. So they end up with this problem where the cell phone's tagging around, and it's rather a wonky bunch of sequences. Spinosaurus they do have a few good scenes involving different dinosaurs, but they more or less have the same problem going all throughout the movie. Is that bunch of new animals. The movie doesn't look quite the same as The Lost World. I'm not sure why they did that. The color tones look totally different. This movie looks kind of like the same as Jurassic World that later came along. This kind of looks the same as that, whereas this Jurassic Park 3 doesn't look very much like the first two movies. It looks very different, color graded. And yeah, they have this peculiar problem is that of course Billy ends up they have run-ins various run-ins with velociraptors, various run-ins with the Spinosaurus. Billy ends up taking one of the eggs from the velociraptors, so of course the velociraptors start trying to deal with them. And I don't know, this movie's got its share of coolness. It's got a straightforward plot. They're just trying to get to a communication zone. They do have one scene in this movie that's kind of reminiscent of Jurassic Park, the novel, because in the novel Jurassic Park, there is no dinosaur, there is no pterosaur pen. In the movie, there's no pterosaur pen. In the book, there's a pterosaur pen. So in this movie, they end up with a pterosaur pen, and they end up with a situation with the pterosaurs. But nonetheless, this produces a lot of different situations going on in the movie. They eventually do get a signal out to the mainland that they need to be brought and they need to be helped. It's sort of a common problem in this movie is that they're trying to get escape away from the Spinosaurus. They have multiple run-ins. I don't know. They eventually get word back, and of course, people misinterpret that as a complete rescue warning. So they end up calling in the military to deal with the problem, which is ironic, considering I don't think the military would be called in to deal with this problem. But nonetheless, it is. They end up rescuing the Kirby son. All that stuff happens. It's not too bad of a movie. It's funky. It's got a kind of a lacking thing. There's a few things they bring into this movie that are different, such as the fact that Kirby's aren't actually business entrepreneurs. They're actually pretty straightforward people. They're ordinary people, and apparently their checks didn't clear, so of course that's the joke of the movie, is that these people aren't being entirely honest. Nonetheless, pretty standard satirical comedy almost is what this is. It's not too bad. It's watchable. Um, it works as a Jurassic Park 3, but there's that.